Hi folks, welcome to the farm. If you're like me, you've probably maybe even woke up in the middle of the night and wondered, wow, are my worms doing okay? All right, maybe I didn't wake up in the middle of the night, but maybe when I looked in the bin, I said, geez, I wonder if I could be doing something better. Well, today I'm going to show you a simple and very effective way to identify issues that may be going on inside of your worm bin, uh, be able to correct them before they become real problems, and give you that peace of mind to know that your worms are living their best life and making the best possible castings that you can have. I'm Jim. Uh, I've been raising worms a long time. Since a kid, I grew up on a lake. I used to raise them and sell them to the fishermen. I've raised them in buckets and dirt. I've raised them using spreadsheets and weighing out food and hand counting worms. I do things different now. And I found it's a whole lot easier. Uh, let's take a look and inspect the bin. I'm going to show you a couple of different steps that you go through. If you do that every time you do it, you're going to be able to lay in bed at night and say, yeah, I'm raising the best worms that I can. Now, this isn't a how-to video. This is a how I do video. There's a million ways of doing this. But if you follow along, give it a shot. I think it might help you out in your worm raising. Okay, let me show you what I'm talking about here. What we've got is a 30-day-old bin of European night crawlers. Notice my fancy covers that I've got here. We've got cardboard, or not cardboard, we've got paper, and we've got plastic. Kind of holds the moisture in, keeps everything at a level that makes it easy to control. Now, I found there's 3 simple items that cure 90% of any kind of bin problems. First one, observation. You open up your bin. Are you seeing worms? Yep, I see worms. Beautiful. Are those worms all over the sides? Now, if that's the case, you may have a problem, and it could be caused by a number of different things. But these 3 items are going to help you to alleviate that. You're not going to have those worms crawling out and crawling all over the sides. They're going to be right down here on the top of the bin where they're supposed to be. So observation is important. Now, observation with your eyes, that's the easy part. What about the second observation? Smell. How does it smell? Does it smell like the forest floor? Or does it smell like a dumpster? Okay. Those 2 things can let you know what the next couple of things are going to do to make your bin better. As you can see, the moisture in here is good. And moisture is one of the other 3 things. Water. Water is very important to your bin. The worms they breathe through their skin, they need the moisture. The other bin critters, are you noticing anything else? Now, a lot of times you're going to notice other composting critters in the bin. You're going to see things like the little roly-polies. You're going to see the little, flea beetles, not flea beetles, springtails, the little white ones, or even mites. Now, those aren't a bad thing. They're not anything really to worry about unless, of course, they're overtaking your bin. But adding water, is it dry? I've got leaves in here and cardboard in here, cardboard shred. If you go back to some of my other videos, you'll see when I put this bin together, this used to be a layer of shredded leaves all over the top. And they've done a great job of taking that and using it as food, very important, and using it to keep the bin at a good moisture level. So let's say you've got a really wet bin. What are you going to do? Add your leaves. Put the leaves on there. The leaves are going to soak it up. They're also going to act as a food for your worms. So this bin right here, another thing to look for, have you got plants growing in it? Now, plants aren't going to really grow in a dumpster. They're not going to grow in an area where the conditions aren't healthy enough. So look for, observe, see what you got growing in there. If you put a piece of squash in there, speaking of which, there's the end of a butternut. See what we got under here. Well, there's a couple in there. This is still really fresh. There's still the bacteria. The bacteria need that moisture too. The bacteria are going to work this down. As you can see, it's crunchy. The worms will get to it though, because they've got the moisture. Let's dig in a little bit. What do your worms look like? Are they plump? Are they moving around? Do they look healthy? Now, these are European night crawlers. I also raise red wigglers and some Indian blues. And you're going to notice, are they active? Are they plump? Are they moist? Do they look moist? Observation. Dig down a little bit. What are you finding? I know this is going to be, well, let me dig down over here a little bit. Are you finding wet puddles of water down in the bottom here? Nope. The moisture's good. What you want to think about, let's say you're out in the rain and you went out into the forest and you stuck your hand in the ground in the first 2 inches or so. Is it moist? That's what your worms are looking for. These guys live up on the top. They're not digging down 8 or 10 or 12 inches like some worms do. These are composting worms. They're going to live on the top. Okay, so we've dug down. What about on the side? Is it drying out really bad? Or is it still nice and moist? That's what you're looking for. Your other critters, they're going to be in here too. They're going to be working on it. The bacteria, they need that moisture. Make sure you've got water, lots of moisture. Let's see. What if it is too wet? Well, like I said, add your cardboard, shredded cardboard, leaves. That'll help to soak up some of that moisture. And then the worms can eat the leaves and eat the bacteria off the leaves and all that and bring it to a more normal level. Observation. You got old food left over? Well, if you're getting a bad smell, that old food could be the problem. You might want to not feed quite as much the next time. You can also use your worm chows to go ahead and also help to soak up a little bit of that moisture. These worms are looking great. They are looking very nice. Sorry to disturb you, girl. I'll put you back with your friends. That's pretty much what I'm looking for when I do a bin inspection. I'm not finding any old food, which means we're going to go ahead and feed. I'm not getting any bad odors. The moisture level is good. There's plenty of carbon in the form of the leaves and the cardboard to give them a good bedding that they're used to living in exactly what you're seeing right here. I've got things growing in here, plants. That's a sign that the conditions are good. It's healthy. So let's go ahead, since we've got this open, they're ready to be fed. Let's go ahead and feed them while we're doing this. Now I use a mix of vegetable scraps that are mixed with cardboard shred and allowed to soak. The cardboard soaks up the moisture. And that way the worms get a good diet. Okay, so what we've got here is a combination of my lettuces, my greens, my tomatoes, whatever vegetable scraps came from the kitchen, mixed with shredded cardboard. And I'm just going to lay this again on the top because that's where these worms are used to looking for their food. Now, if you've seen any of my other videos, you know I use a lot of different things for their foods, and I think that's good because they're going to get a good healthy diet. You know, worms are travelers. They'll travel to the food that they want, and they're used to receiving all different types of things. You know, they're not just eating leaves, they're eating whatever they can find. So I try to make sure that my worms have got a really good variety of different things. I oftentimes, like every other week often, will do a dry feeding of the worm chow that I make up. And again, that helps to keep the moisture levels at a good spot. Now, because I freeze all my vegetables and then I thaw them, and then I use that juice that comes from the thawing in with my cardboard mix that goes in it, I let it sit out for a day or so. That bacteria, the biology, is going to already have started breaking it down even before it gets into the worms here. So it'll break down a lot quicker. The worms will be able to eat the biology off of all of that, and just makes the whole thing, that way you're not going to end up with a smelly mess in your bin. It's going to break down quicker. If you put it in just raw and you add too much, chances are it's going to start to rot. Freeze your food, let it drain out, use the drippings to moisten up your cardboard that you add to it. In my years of doing this, I found that to be the best way for me. This is how I do, not how to do, but for me, that seems to make a food source and a bedding source that allows the worms to thrive and doesn't cause problems in the bin. Okay, so if I had to rate this bin, there was a time when I had spreadsheets and I would put them down on a scale of 1 to 5. I don't really need to do that anymore, and it comes in time, comes over time. You'll be able to pretty much pop open your lid, look at it and say, it's good to go. I don't have to do anything else. But I wanted to do this video kind of as a demonstration as to how I do it here. And that's pretty much about it. Folks, if you got anything out of the video, you want to see more of this bin, like I said, this bin is only 30 days old. We're going to have monthly videos on this bin and my other bins that are here within the farm. If you'd like to learn more about that, go ahead and subscribe. I'd love to have you on the channel, and we'll talk to you later.